Guten Tag, liebe Schüler und Schülerinnen. Heute sprechen wir über als, wenn oder wann. Today we are going to talk about the three words als, wenn, and wann. We're going to examine what they mean in English and how they're used in German sentences. So let's take a look at some examples first. Als, wenn oder wann. Wann konnte Christin sprechen? In your mind, try to translate this sentence. Nummer 2. Christin konnte sprechen, als sie 15 Monate alt war. I want you to think about what this could mean. Let's take a look at a third sentence. 3. Mutti konnte neue Jeans kaufen, wenn sie Taschengeld übrig hatte. This is probably fairly easy to figure out what that means. And now let's take a look at number 4. Du bekommst gute Noten, wenn du fleißig arbeitest. I want you to stop the video and I want you to look at all 4 sentences. And I want you to think, what do all 4 of these have in common? When you think that you know what the sentences mean and what these words mean that are all in pink, restart the video. So if you thought that all 3 of them mean when, you are exactly correct. All 3 of these words mean when. So that sounds a little complicated. If German has 3 words to say when, then we need to know when to use which when. Okay, so let's take a look. Wann? Wann konnte Christin sprechen? Look at the sentence. What kind of sentence is it? That's correct. It's a question. So the word wann is a question word and Fragewort and is used when you ask for when something happened. Okay. I want to note here that oftentimes German students will, instead of using wann, they will use wenn here. Why? Because it just sounds more intuitively correct, but it is a false cognate. Okay, so let's take a look at the second when. Als. Christin konnte sprechen, als sie 15 Monate alt war. Kristen was able to speak when she was 15 months old. So this is telling us when something happened in the past at some certain point in time in the past. Als is not a question word, it is a conjunction, and it is used to express when you want to talk about something in the past that only happened once. How often was she 15 months old? Just once, okay? I mean, she was 15 months old probably for a whole month, but the 15 months only happened once, okay? So let's take a look at the third and final when. Mutti konnte neue Jeans kaufen, wenn sie Taschengeld übrig hatte. Und du bekommst gute Noten, wenn du fleißig arbeitest. Now, when you translate those are fairly easy, okay? Because here we, in fact, do have cognates, okay? Mom was able to buy new jeans when she had money left over, when she had allowance left over. In the second example, you will have good grades when you work busily. Okay, so in these 2 sentences you can see that the first one is in the past tense, this one is in the present tense, so tense obviously makes no difference here. When is also a conjunction in this case, but there is a little connotation with when. The connotation is whenever or if. Okay, so if you can say whenever or if, then you would choose then over als. So we talked about the three words wann, als, and wenn, and we figured out when to use either one of them in a sentence in German. Now let's take a look at something that you may or may not have noticed, and that is when you use als and wenn, they're conjunctions. Conjunctions a little bit like weil and das. Try to remember what happened in the weil sentence and in the das sentence. Think about it and then look at the example. Ich musste in die Schule, als ich 5 Jahre alt war. What happened? If we have an als or a wenn, our verb goes to the end. Okay, so now that we know that, let's take a look at some nifty stuff in German. So, ich musste in die Schule, als ich 5 Jahre alt war. No problem with that. We have our main class here. Ich musste in die Schule, I had to go to school, and our independent class, and here we have a dependent class, can't stand by itself. Als ich 5 Jahre alt war. We just said that with the als here, our verb, our conjugated verb goes to the end. No problem though. This is not something that is entirely new as far as a concept goes. Now let's take a look at something now. What if I wanted to start my sentence with the dependent clause? We do it in English all the time. We'll say, when I was 5 years old, I had to go to school, instead of I had to go to school when I was 5 years old. So we do the same in German. What happens though, in our dependent clause, nothing really changes. We have the als introducing it when I was 5. We have the conjugated verb at the end of the clause, nothing new here. But now our dependent clause becomes what we would call first position. So if our dependent clause is first position, then our main clause is not going to start with ich, but with musste, because we know second position we must have our conjugated verb. Okay, so our main clause or our independent clause now starts with musste, because as a sentence all together, our dependent clause became first position. And then we finish it up as we know, musste ich in die Schule gehen. Okay? Und das war's für heute. Geht bitte jetzt in euer OneNote und beantwortet dort die Fragen. Tschüss, bis zum nächsten Mal.